been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh Lord, can you feel it coming in the air tonight? Oh Lord, oh Lord. Well, if you told me you were drowning, I would not lend a hand. I've seen your face before, my friend, but I don't know if you know who I am. Well, I was there and I saw what you did. I saw it with my own two eyes. So you couldn't wipe off that grin. I know where you've been. It's all been a pack of lies. And I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord. Well, I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh Lord. I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord. Well, I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh Lord. Oh Lord. Well, I remember, don't worry. How could I ever forget? It's the first time, the last time we ever met. But I know the reason why you keep your silence up. No, you don't fool me. The hurt doesn't show, but the pain still grows. Some strangers to you and me. I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord. Well, I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh Lord. I can feel it in the air tonight. Oh Lord. Oh Lord. Well, I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh Lord. I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord.
Boom.
Well, I've been waiting for this moment
All my life. What's going on, everybody? We have us a week 10. We're back. The Browns are back.
We're back.
We're back. And guys, I want to say thank you to everybody who's here for the pregame show. I'm rocking my Sabo apparel, Clee hat, trying to bring back a little bit of love. I have my dad. We're going to be watching the game. He's actually in the other room right next to me. So if you hear me yelling, you might hear a little bit extra feedback in there. Dad, how's it going?
Good, Mike. Good, Mike. We're all set up. We're ready to go. I'm anxious. I think it's going to be an interesting game. So let's get to it.
Yeah, this is going to be a big one. Before we get started, everybody who's in the chat, if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and hit that like button. Help us out. Let's get a little bit of the Google algorithm, YouTube ranking going. So hit that like button real quick. We are going to do some giveaways, so don't worry. We got a bunch of new kind of cool stuff to talk about. I'm rocking my OBJ Drake jersey or shirt. As you can see, the OBJ Drake shirt, end zone, that he wore in the video, which is now apparel that is live and available on browniepostgame.com/merch. So if you want to buy this, we're just paying homage to it, right? This isn't the actual thing, but it's very, very close. And I guarantee you, unless you're with an extremely trained eye, won't know the difference, guys. So if you wanna, if you're hunting for that OBJ Drake shirt, we now have it live. Let me bow this down just a little tiny bit so you guys can see it. Boom. And then also with browniepostgame.com, we've got some other cool stuff. We actually have some Brownie Postgame merch. We got a mug. We got some really cool shirts. We got just a bunch of cool stuff out there. So if you want to check that out, also the Patreon. This helps us grow. This helps us buy stuff and give it to you, the audience. So help us out on Patreon. All it takes is $1. And that's awesome. I want to say a big shout out to a bunch of guys that we have, our Patreon dudes that we have in chat right now. Gary Washington, Alex Massimiani, Nicholas Stevenson. We got Gassina in the house. Guts is here. Who else we got? Brent Gindra is a newer guy. S. Zupon.
Buckman.
Maxwell Buckman, what's going on, buddy? So everybody, I just want to thank you and say hello, and thank you for everybody who happens to be in the house right now to talk about Texans week. So this is NFL week 10. We are back from the bye, right? So we're 5-3 back from the bye, and we have a relatively healthy team, guys. I'm looking at the injury report right now. Jacob Phillips is limited practice. He's the only guy who's questionable right now. And obviously, we're not going to have. And also, Denzel Ward was not injury related, held out of practice, did not practice Friday. So I'm not sure what's going on with Denzel. I have not looked. So anybody in chat knows what's going on with Denzel, please let us know. But beyond that, really just OBJ. We got Hooper back. We got Teller back. Oh, Hubbard's out too, but Teller's back, right? So finally we have PFF #1 offensive lineman in the league. Wyatt Teller is now back. Also a Virginia Tech guy, big fan of Wyatt Teller. I have a signed, autographed Wyatt Teller picture that I got from when he was at Virginia Tech. So as you can tell, my dad and I, we oftentimes will sneak in a little Hokie stuff in here every once in a while. I know most people are Ohio State guys, but give us a little bit of love. So yeah, Dad, we're now 5-3. I talked to Ristano on the pregame Wednesday show that we actually had to move to Thursday because YouTube had all these problems on Wednesday. So we talked about it, and Ristano thinks this is a 100% must-win game. Mm-hmm. If we go 5-4, and looking at the schedule that we have left with some big games like the Texans, the Ravens, the Steelers, although we have the Steelers and the Ravens at home, but still big games, do we have that ability to get to that 10-win mark? Because I really do think 10-win is going to be able to get us into that third wild card.
I agree.
I don't know. Do you think that this is a must-win game, or is it just more of like it's still early and mathematical is still in it?
No, I think it's a must-win game. You get your players back. You get 2 weeks to prepare for the Texans. There's other than Baker missing a day or a day and a half because of the COVID list or whatever, but he didn't miss a beat. This is a must game. You can't come off a bye week healthy and come off flat. I mean, the guy and at home. Now I think the weather is going to be a big factor today, a big factor. Somebody in the chat already said it's blowing like hell there. Wow. And according to the weather forecast, the rain is supposed to stop around game time. So the field is going to be saturated and the wind is going to gust from 30 to 40 miles an hour. So the kicking game is going to be suspect. The getting the right field position in terms of, do you defer it so that you're kicking with the wind in the fourth quarter? First key decision that has to be made if we win the toss. We don't win the toss, then it's not, it's up to them to decide what they want to do.
Right.
But the weather, and thank God we got Chubb back. We got our 2 running backs. We got the line ready. So there should be no excuses. There should be absolutely no excuses. This is not a great team that we're going up against. They do have was it J.J. Watt on the defense? Mm-hmm. But other than that, hopefully we can run the ball. And if we can run the ball, if we can set up short little passes, I don't think you're going to see one or no more than 1 or 2 deep balls thrown by either side the entire game, because unless you're flying with the wind, mm-hmm. But certainly going into the wind is going to be a factor. So we got our players back. And you run down the list of the things: no penalties, no stupid plays, ball
Right.
control, the whole 9 yards. They all apply to this game.
Right.
Game plan. I hope they set up a good game plan to go against the Texans. They've had 2 weeks to prepare, so let's hope they don't come out flat.
Yeah, I think 100%. I'm still waiting to see us play 4 quarters of consecutive strong football, which is
That's true.
that is the big difference between the Browns and the Steelers. It is the Steelers. They play 4 quarters of football nonstop. From the second the game starts, they don't have a sugar crash in the third quarter. They play
Right.
consistent football the whole way through. They are motivated. They are professional. I want to see us with play with less emotion and more consistency, and that's what it's going to take to play 4 quarters the whole way through. Um, so yeah, so I think the weather's probably going to be somewhat of a factor as well, which is fine because now we got Chubb and Hunt back. Our 1 and 2 punch at the running back position with Wyatt Teller back. So now we have the full strength of our offensive line, which is what this team was designed to do, was to be a 65 or 70%
Run first, pass second,
Right.
and set up the passing game. And if you got a good, Baker's on, we got our receivers catching the ball.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be raining after 1 o'clock, so it's just going to be a wind factor,
Right.
um, and that'll keep Baker from throwing long, ill-advised passes. So hopefully they three-step drop out of his hands very quickly,
Mhm.
and that sounds like a winning plan to me. And then just execute, execute, execute.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I hope that it's going to be interesting. So I'm interested to see if Chubb starts the game and then goes right back to his full his full level of production, or if
Mhm.
we give it to Hunt and then have Chubb play that one A versus 1B type running back guy. So if he
Right.
comes in and eats up like 30-35% of the runs, and we still have the bulk load with Hunt just to make sure that Chubb is 100%, that we might see that today, right?
Yeah.
So
But it depends
I
on how he conditioned himself in those 4 weeks that he had off. If obviously he couldn't run too much on a bad knee
yeah.
at the beginning, but if he was running the last 2 weeks and gotten himself in shape, then he's got a better chance of doing well and getting more snap counts.
Mhm.
If he's out of shape a little bit, which is understandable, then they're going to play him sparingly, especially if Hunt's running the ball well and doing well. And then, of course, we still have Hilliard there too. So we got some backup there as well. So
Yeah.
um, again, no excuses today, Mike. This is one that we got to have, and
Yeah.
hopefully, like you said, we play 4 quarters as opposed to three, and then our biting our nails, come the fourth
Yeah,
quarter.
and here's the thing. Here's another interesting kind of side note. Their starting left guard is injured. He's out, and David Johnson, who also is their starting running back, he's out. So we're going to see Duke Johnson, former Cleveland Brown Duke Johnson, as the starting
Right?
running back on this team. And Duke's going to be up to play pretty hard for this one. So
Sure.
he's going to want to prove to the Browns that he was a number one guy, even though he couldn't even really prove that to the Texans. Uh, so he's going to be out there. So now the Texans are going to be a little bit shorthanded on the offensive side. And their defense, they give up a lot of points. They're one of the worst defenses in the league. It is what it is.
Right.
That's why they're 2-6. And this is
I
where,
don't know what the over under is on this, Mike, but it's got to be well under 50, I would think, with the weather being the way it is, and two suspect teams that
yeah.
play good 1 week and then they don't play good the next week, that type of thing. So,
Well, let's ask the
that
chat. Chat, let us know what you're seeing in the over under. Be interested to know that. Jason Stopar's in the house. Lace Nix is in the house. What's up, my brothers? Kid Wilson's here. So we got the whole Cleveland BCI's in the house. What's going on? Let's go.
as
Let's go.
far as this morning, we got 44 guys in the chat, and I've got the Brian Sipe third year card as a giveaway this morning to our guys who are in chat. It's a very well preserved card, great picture of him. It's got his stats on the back,
Hold it up a little higher,
and
Dad. There you
How's
go.
that?
Yep, perfect.
All right. So that's our giveaway when we're ready to go with that, Mike. Whenever you make the call.
Okay, cool. So we'll do the Brian Sipe football card this morning for the pregame, and then we'll hold the homage and the Sabo apparel item for the postgame show. So I think that's pretty cool.
Right.
So we'll have two guys at the postgame show. Hopefully we win, and a lot of people want to be talking Browns, so they'll join us on the postgame show. We've noticed in the analytics that when the Browns win, postgame show's on fire. When the Browns lose, it's like, people just kind of want to sulk a little bit. I don't blame them. It's really tough for
Right.
me emotionally a lot of times when the Browns lose to come on and talk about it because, we have big expectations this year, and that's kind of that's where we are with these teams when we're playing a team on the schedule that I think a lot of people early on would have said this might have been a loss or a tough game for us to play against the Texans. However, this year it's at home. Last time we played them actually tough in Houston. We didn't win, but now we get them at home in a very down year where they got rid of Bill O'Brien, their coach, in the beginning of the season. So they're a little bit in shambles. They got nothing to really play for because they're 2-6. So this is a team that we should beat. Looking at our schedule moving forward, we should beat the Texans. We should beat the Eagles. We should beat the Jaguars. On paper, we are a better team with a better record. And I think talent-wise, we're there too. But if we want to be a playoff team, if we want to prove that our window is actually opening, and this is the first year that we can have our window open and alive to make the playoffs, even if we limp in with the third wild card, this new third wild card position, I think we have to be able to beat the teams that, from a record-wise, we have to beat. And if you look at the teams that we lost to so far in our 5-3 record, they're all playoff teams right now. The Raiders are a playoff team. I firmly believe the Raiders before the season were going to be a playoff team, and they've proven that they can be. Although they got off to like a somewhat shaky start, but they had a big win against Kansas City. If you beat Kansas City at home, you're a legit team. Right? I don't care who you are. You beat them at home, you can play football. So the Raiders are good. You can't take that away from us. And it was a close game, like 16-10. We just basically lost it in the fourth quarter because we only touched the ball 8 damn times. We didn't force them to punt one time, right? So this is, it is what it is. But in the games like this, where we're looking at a 4-6 team who, for all intents and purposes, is not going to be competitive this year, we have to beat these teams. So Rosano said it. I will agree. This is a must-win game.
Yeah, we beat the Colts, that should be a feather in our cap.
Yep.
I watched the game on Thursday night. They played the Titans. It was a close game in the first half, 17-13 Titans. But the Colts with Rivers, they just dominated them in the second half. And the Titans didn't play well at all. They don't have a good defense. They have an offense that can score very quickly if Tannehill is on, but they didn't play well in the second half. So that win over the Colts by us is definitely a feather in our cap because their defense is still playing very strong, and yet we scored a lot of points on them. So that's going in our favor. It puts the Colts and the Titans in a tie. And if it comes down to I don't know what the playoff rules are in terms of qualification at the very end. If, say, the Colts and us are tied, do they go to a tiebreaker such as heads up? And if that's the case, then we got a heads up on the Colts.
Yeah, Ristano was looking at it, and even though we had beaten the Colts, because now the Colts are in first place, so they're winning their division, so that takes the heads up away from us.
Well, they're tied. They're tied for the division. So
right, but they get the heads up, so they're in first place in the division. If it ended today, the Colts would win the AFC South because they beat the Titans. Right, there's still a lot of season left.
The wild card tied with us. What's the tiebreaker?
I thought it would have been us getting it, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But if you look at that AFC South, the fact that we beat the Colts is a big one. But if we then beat the Titans, then we're really in the driver's seat to get that third wild card. And then it'll all depend on what happens with the Dolphins because right now if you look at it, you have to assume the 6-2 Ravens are probably gonna get a wild card. The We're 5-3. The Raiders are 5-3. The Dolphins are 5-3. The Titans are 6-3. So the Titans would be number 2, and the third one would either go to the Dolphins or the Raiders because we lost heads up to the Raiders. So these next games, these games that we have to win, these are the ones that are going to be like critically important for us for the rest of the season. We have to beat these because we don't want it to come down to a January 3rd game against the Steelers at home for us to potentially make the playoffs. We definitely do not want that to happen. And I think the Steelers, although at that point they're probably going to be pretty safe, they may have the home field advantage wrapped up if they continue going what they are. If they're undefeated, they're playing their guys. So they want to have that undefeated season. They're going to be out there for blood.
Oh, that would be great. We knock them off at the last game of the year. They keep their season from being an undefeated season. That would be great. Even if we weren't in the playoffs, we would have that to be be for, and that'd be a little little jab.
Let me throw you
at
at this. If the Steelers, let's say the Chiefs win out and the Steelers win out as well, other than the last game. So the Chiefs are 8-1, and the Steelers would be, or they'd be. The Chiefs would be 15-1, which is just rare to have that kind of season. But let's just say it is. And the Steelers are 15-0 going into the last season. We have to win that game to go in the playoffs. Let's just say that. The Steelers need that game to clinch home field advantage in the playoffs, and they want that game to say that they went 16-0 in the regular season. If we beat them, all the cards are like all the accolades. We knock them out of home field advantage. We knock them out of the.
That'd be like winning the Super Bowl. That would be our Super Bowl. Knowing that we probably can't get there because we don't have a good enough team.
Well, I mean, think about this though. If we beat the Steelers at home, who are a 15-0 team, and they didn't lose a single game, and we beat them, doesn't that prove to us that we can beat anybody?
I guess, but the amount of energy that would be taken out of the room by us doing that, I don't know if you can come back and play, somebody really, really good in your first playoff game and still have that same energy. I mean, I would, if that happened the way you just laid it out, Mike, I'd be very happy with saying, we've won our Super Bowl for that year. Anything beyond that is just pure gravy. And it would be a hell of a way to end the season.
Yeah. Well, the only thing that would be disappointing with it is if we lose a couple of the soft part in the mid schedule, right? And it on paper it wasn't soft before the season because the Eagles look like they're going to be pretty good. The Texans are always pretty good. The Jags, are typically we're one of the basement dweller teams. So these are the teams that we necessarily weren't going to be guaranteed. Obviously in the NFL you're not guaranteeing anything, but based off how the season's shaking out. These are well under 500 teams that we should be able to beat if other teams in the NFL are handling them pretty well. We beat teams like the Colts, right? So we can put a game together to beat these guys, right? So we have to be able to beat these guys to be able to make the playoffs. That's my point with this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
we need 5. We went 5-3 in the first half. We need to go 5-3 in the second half. We go 5-3. We get the 6 wins, or we get the 10 wins. I can't see us out of the playoffs to 10 wins. I just can't. And based off how it's looking, I mean, in the previous years, a 9-7 team sneaks in. So you got to believe that at 10-6, we're going to make the playoffs. So if you get 5 wins, if we go Texans, Eagles, Jags, Giants, Jets, that's our 5. That means we can lose to the Titans, the Steelers, and the Ravens. That's 5-3. 6-10 is the season. Now, as we know in the NFL, things happen. We could lose this game and then beat the Ravens. It's like things can shake out the way they are. But on paper, on the bet, we're probably going to be favored in those 5 games. I'm pretty sure we're favored today. So 5 games, we need to just win heads up. And if we do that, you're looking at the first time the Browns have made the playoffs in a very long time, which is the one thing. If we could have just snuck that last one in against the Raiders, if we could have just pulled that one out, then we only need 4 games. Then we could have afforded to let one slide in the second half, but unfortunately we can't now. Plus, who knows? We have to be able to take care of business against the Giants and the Jets. They're certainly not going to roll over.
Yeah, right. Isaiah says, think the Bengals are going to pull an upset today with the against Pittsburgh. That would be huge if if
Oof.
Burrow can pull that off with the rest of the guys at Cincinnati, bring Pittsburgh down to earth.
Well, I mean, what
I
is
got
that?
him in. I got him in my pick'em as a big upset because I'm sure everybody's going with Pittsburgh on that one. So that'll
Sure.
give me a one up if we're able to pull that off. But I'll certainly be rooting for the Bengals.
Well, I have to believe that well, think about this too. If the Bengals end up beating the 8-0 Steelers, what does that say about the growth that the Bengals are now experiencing? Because
Right.
at 2-5-1, you can't count the Bengals out of potentially going on a massive run. If they prove they can beat the Steelers, they already proven they can beat the Titans
Right.
at the Titans. So that just goes to show that the Bengals might be one of those really scary teams. I talked about this with Rustano on Thursday. I think the Bengals are one of the teams that are going to be very scary if their defense can just put together a decent game. They're sort of in the same boat as we are. Their offense can score points, but their defense is just letting other teams score like butter. So, and it was honestly inexcusable for them to allow us to go down and score a touchdown with 1:06 left in that game. So they should have beat us that second time, and
Right.
they really had a shot, with that onside kick to beat us the first time, right?
Sure.
So that just
Nothing's
shows you,
never over till it's over. So,
you're absolutely right. It just
well,
shows you how close it is.
look at go back to your comment about us bringing up the Hokies every once in a while. They played Liberty a week ago, who they should have. Liberty is not exactly your
They're not a
Division One top
powerhouse.
team. Yeah, they're rated 25. They were 7-0 or 6-0 going against the Virginia Tech Hokies, and at the end of the game, talk about over managing a game, or the what you call the Liberty team. Virginia Tech is, I think they're they're tied, and Liberty's going for the winning field goal. They line up for a 59-yard field goal. 59 yards. And the geniuses on the sideline of the Hokie bench, and I don't know who it was, you got to blame it on the head coach, Fuentes. They just before they kick it, they calls timeout. Well, sure, the play continues. He has to kick a line drive. The guys stand up, put their hand up, they block it. They recover the ball in mid bounce and run it in for a touchdown to supposedly win the game.
Yeah.
But then they bring it back because they called timeout, and they run. I think they ran one more play to the left side where Virginia Tech played very soft defense and let them pick up, I think, 9 yards
Mhm.
or 8 yards out of bounds. 1 second left on the clock. They line up for a 51-yard field goal, and sure enough, the kid hits it right down the middle, and Virginia Tech loses. I mean, it's never over till it's over.
Mhm.
I hate these coaches that try to ice the kicker.
Well, if you're gonna do
Just
it,
let it.
ice it well before he's lining up to make the kick, because
Yeah,
you're just giving him a practice kick. Don't let him
right.
have if you're going to do it right as they're lining up, then call timeout. Don't let him go through the motion and actually kick it.
Why do
That's
you
the dumbest thing in the world.
But why do you ice a 59-yard field goal? I mean, they wouldn't even do that in the pros, I don't think, no less in college.
Yeah, if it was
So
a 42-yard, a very makeable 42-yard field goal or 37-yard field goal,
absolutely.
ice
Sure.
it and make him think about it, because that's like a 3-foot putt. You want to ice that guy. You want to put a little mental strain pressure on him. But 59 yards, he's going to have to make the kick of his life anyway.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I just shaking my head. Just shaking my head.
Coaches
So,
make dumb decisions. I will say that one of the things that Rostano and I were talking about on Thursday too is I think at some point we're going to have to start making the realization that Joe Woods is clearly learning on the job. Because if you look at his defense, they are soft as pudding, and
Yeah.
we're playing that soft zone defense that just allows any team who watches the tape can go, okay, just look for little soft pockets, and that's why we're getting dink and dunked quite a bit. They're not throwing the home runs against us anymore.
Well, this is where coaching, I think, plays a very key role in today's game, because with the weather being the way it's going to be, with the heavy winds and
Yeah.
going in against the wind, as opposed to having the ball 2 quarters where you have the wind with you, you can move your guys up. I don't think you have to worry about the deep pass because it ain't coming. They're going to throw short left,
Well,
short
I think
right,
it's
short
tough
over the
though.
middle.
It's
You know,
tough against the Texans um, because you've got Deshaun Watson, who's very good, and you have Will Fuller, who's very good. So Will Fuller is going to have to be, he's going to have to be spotted. We're going to have to give him the respect.
sure.
So that's one thing to we really have to take into consideration on that one. But in terms of the running game, Duke Johnson averages like two yards a carry. So Duke Johnson isn't going to be somebody that we should be really afraid of. So we don't have to stack the box with 8 guys to against Duke Johnson. We know Duke Johnson. He's basically a third down running back.
Yeah, but we don't have to defend against the long play, the deep pass in weather like this.
Well,
You
that's true.
can move your corners up. You can move your safeties up just a hair. You don't have to put them in the box,
Mhm.
but you can move them up and let your line, your linebackers take care of the what you call it, the run.
Right.
But you can play tighter on the wide receivers and the backs and defend against the screen passes and whatnot. If you've got your safeties not 30 yards down the field, but only 10 yards down the field or 12
Mhm.
yards down the field, because you know it's going to be very difficult to throw a long ball accurately and not have it intercepted or knocked down or whatever.
Yep.
So um, that's where it gets back to the coaching. Is the coaching going to pick up on that? Are they going to try that? Are they going to blitz more? What do they have in store for Texas? That's going to be interesting.
Well, it's also like, I mean, their big anchor on defense is J.J. Watt, and so J.J.
Hmm.
Watt is going to be going up against Jedrick, and that's going to be one to pay very close attention to. Are we going to
Right.
be respecting? Are we going to give Jedrick a little bit of help from a pass blocking perspective? Jedrick's really good. I mean, look
Yeah.
at Pro Football Focus. Jedrick is right up there from a pass block, which lends itself pretty well. But J.J. Watt is one of the best in the game. He's a little bit up there in years, 31 years old. So he's obviously not the dominant 25-year-old J.J. Watt who nobody could stop. But we have that guy. We've got that 25-year-old J.J. Watt and Myles Garrett. So they're going to have to do that same thing. And they have an offensive lineman who's out, happens to be a guard, right?
Right.
But who knows? I mean, you see these offensive linemen. Who knows how big of a difference there is? But it's going to be interesting to see. Hopefully, we don't have any injuries on offensive line because now that Hubbard is out, we lose that depth. You
Right.
know, so there's going to be a pretty big drop off if we lose Conklin or Wyatt Teller's. Let's say he something happens to him again. Who knows? So it's going to be really interesting to see. But I hope that the Browns go to that 60-40 run to pass. I hope that we establish the running game pretty early. The Texans are going to load up the box. You know that they're going to be putting 7-8 in the box pretty much all the time. And
Right.
the other book on the Browns on how to beat us is put constant pressure on Baker and make him make quick decisions. So
I hope they roll him out. I hope they get him out of the pocket. I hope he just doesn't stand there and double clutch and triple clutch
right.
and have somebody just sack the hell out of him. Move him around. Make him go left. Make him go right. Have those guys, do the flip where they flip it inside to the wide receiver coming across, in front of the backs. Make the defense respect who's got the ball, whether it's Baker, Hunt, Chubb, or one of the wide receivers coming through on a misdirection or whatever. That's when you gain that slight 1 second, 1/2 a second advantage
Mm-hmm.
to do whatever play you're trying to do. So I hope they move him around um, and keep him, from throwing a dumb long pass that gets intercepted.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's going to be a big key is the turnovers. Can we not turn the ball
Right.
over? You turn the ball over, especially in the rain, stuff like this. We got to be able to force them to punt on third down. We have to be able to get our defense off the field to allow us
Right.
to then control the clock on offense. But as always, I'm going to say it now. We will talk about it and see what happens in the post-game show at 4:00. It's scheduled, so make sure that you're subscribed to the channel, guys. Hit the like button if you like what you hear. helps us out with the algorithms. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, put that little bell icon on so when we go live in the post-game show, we can see, did the Browns win on special teams? Did the Browns win on offense, defense, coaching, and turnovers? Those are the key macro statistics that I like to look at, which tells the story of the game. Did we win or did we lose? And then you get into the other stuff that tells a lot of the story too, in terms of time of possession. Time of possession was the way that we lost to the Raiders, 100%. So if
it was just possessions. You touch the ball once in the second, the third, and the fourth. 3 touches for 3/4 of the game that's unheard of. You can't win with 3 possessions. I mean, it just and we didn't do well on those 2 out of the 3 possessions. So no wonder we lost that game. You got to get your defense off the field one way, by hook or by crook. And if things are not working, then try something different. Try the blitz, go from zone to man. I mean, change it up. Give them something different to look at.
Max agrees.
Those are all keys.
No turnovers, no penalties. Is the other thing too. Are we playing disciplined football? The penalties have been killer. Ogunjobi killed us with penalties last week. The face mask stuff. I mean, it's drive killing because we'll do it on a third down. Or the first drive, the first set of downs of the game, we give them 15 yards. That's if they line up at the 25, you give them 15 yards. Now you're at the 40. You're in midfield on the first drive, meaning that even if they don't score points, it's still going to be the field position type game that you're giving up early on. We got to be able to stop them. We got to be able to stop them early and get them off the field. I do think Deshaun Watson can still be dangerous. He's he's got some athletic ability, so he's going to run from time to time. You've got Will Fuller, who's there. Brandon Cooks is good. They've got Darren Fells, the other tight end from us. Randall Cobb is still playing well. Pharaoh Brown, another ex-Brown on that team. I mean, there's a lot of ex-Cleveland Browns. Including the guys we threw away. Oh, including Romeo Crennel comes back to Dallas. Romeo Crennel, the most successful coach, single season that we've had since we've been back in '99 with that magical 10-6 season when there was only 2 wild card playoffs and we just barely missed that.
He'd love to beat us and solidify the fact that they may give him the head coaching job if he does well. So.
Yeah, we'll see. Romeo Crennel is like 72 years old. I mean, he's an old guy to be out there like grinding like that. I think Romeo's going to get him through this season, and that might be it. They're probably going to do a restart because JJ Watt being 31, you're not gonna continue doing that. He's already kind of come out and said, I don't want to be on a team that's rebuilding. I want to go play for a winner at the end of my career. So JJ is going to be gone. But they might just outright cut him because they were saying like they're going to have to take like a $15 million salary cap hit if they trade him. Wow. So they might just cut JJ Watt, and then JJ can go do whatever he wants. And you know what's going to happen if they cut JJ Watt? He's going to the damn Pittsburgh Steelers to go play with his brothers. They got 2 of them on there, might as well have 3, and they're a dominant team. You could have seen them possibly making a trade for JJ Watt to the Steelers this year, but they were past the trade deadline. It's silly that they didn't want to do that. Because this is definitely it all comes down in the NFL to quarterback. And you have quarterbacks that are getting up there 40 years old. You don't know what the wind's going to blow with those guys, if they're going to get hurt or if they just can't do it anymore. And this is one of those seasons with Roethlisberger. He looks like he's playing backyard football. He is clearly a master at this stage in Ben Roethlisberger's career. He is a master of the game. He speaks the language of playing NFL football and doesn't really take a lot of coaching or plays or anything like that. He can go out and do whatever the heck he wants. Even though he doesn't have the elusiveness, he doesn't have the mobility he once had, he can still stand in there and deliver the ball, and they're still running the ball really well. So the Pittsburgh Steelers, once Ben's gone, is going to be the test. What do they do? Because it's not going to be Rudolph. It ain't going to be Duck Hodges. They're going to have to get back into the draft and pick up somebody, or bring in a veteran if they think they can keep that window open a little longer with a vet, maybe bringing in a Matt Ryan or something like that.
Absolutely.
So we'll see what happens with the Steelers, but I'm really, really looking forward to a time where they just struggle to find their guy. Because like I said, Mason Rudolph.
Look what it did to us for 20 years. I mean, it was horrible. I mean, and we're not the only one. I mean, look how long it's taken the Dolphins to get to this kid Tua, and unfortunately, he's one play away from getting hurt. Ben Roethlisberger got whacked pretty good the last game to the point where he was feeling it in his leg and in his arm. So he's one play away from getting whacked, to the point where he
Yeah.
can't play, and they're going to have to bring in a backup, and they don't have a very good backup.
Yep.
So that's really one of their Achilles heels. Is if they lose Roethlisberger midseason, towards the end of the season, whatever key game,
Boom.
um,
Just
they're
like
going to
last
be
year.
hurting.
You see last year when they lost Roethlisberger, I mean, they just basically folded. And
Right, right,
I mean, a decent team, but not, not a team that
right.
nothing like this 8-0 team. Then you got, I mean, the Ravens, I think, are in a very similar situation. They're one catastrophic injury away from things not being great there with Lamar. And Lamar, this is one thing that Rossano called out on the Thursday show, was saying that Lamar was talking to the press and saying that, almost like calling out the coaches for the way that they're calling the game. It seems like that teams might be catching up to how the Ravens offense, because he was saying that their defense was calling out their plays as they were lining up. So the defenses are catching up. They're starting to get the book on the Ravens, and
Right.
if that happens, you can't have a guy who can't hit the wide side of a barn with a pass and say beat us with your arm, and that's the way that you beat the Ravens. So the Ravens, I still think they're a very good team. Don't get me wrong, but I just think that I don't think Lamar Jackson is going to have that MVP type season like he had that 14-2 year last year ever again. I just personally don't believe it. I think that that NFL teams are catching up to it. So, but what I am really worried about is the up and coming of Joe Burrow, because that dude sits back there and is just very, very comfortable. But then
If he gets a line, an O line that will protect him and give him the stuff that, like, New England was given to Brady for all those years, he can just sit there and pick you apart. If they catch up on defense, and they get a good replacement for AJ Green, get some receivers. They're moving up like the Dolphins, and I didn't expect the Bengals to play this good,
yeah.
this early. I
Well,
mean,
they
maybe
have
towards the end of the season, but
to
not
have
this
Burrow
early.
throw 50, 60 times a game in some games.
Mm.
Burrow, I mean, and he's a big dude. And then next year you got Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, Trask, that kid out of University of Florida coming out. There's going to be some real decent guys coming out that are just going to continue to do it.
Isn't a quarterback on the Alabama too? I think, isn't he number one as far as the Heisman Trophy is
Well,
concerned?
Heisman doesn't necessarily translate into where you end up as the quarterback getting drafted. So that doesn't always go hand in hand. And Heisman quarterbacks typically don't do as well in the NFL. Baker's and Lamar Jackson have been able to buck that trend a little bit. But in
And
terms,
so Burrow too.
yeah, and Burrow, yeah. So I mean, and you got and Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's done
Yeah, so
pretty well in his young
there's
career.
been a lot. It certainly helps the prestige. It helps the hype, especially if you're a rebuilding team like the Jets. They need something. I mean, Darnell is not the guy. They could go 0-16 at the rate that they're going.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's back this week. Flacco played pretty good,
yeah.
but then he blew it. He heaves a 60-yard pass that gets intercepted. It just they had a chance to get off the schneid last week, and they didn't do it.
Well, the
I
Jet
forget it.
the Jets are going to have a really tough decision of who they go with, either Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields, because
Right.
it's going to come down to I think it's almost like the RG3 and Andrew Luck season. It's like it's having these two blue chip guys who are going to win a lot of football games that are coming out, even though neither of them took any teams to the Super Bowl or did anything. They were still really, really, and when RG3 was at his prime before he got injured, was unstoppable in the NFL. Andrew Luck, before he took all his hits and got injured, was unstoppable in the NFL. So Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence, look out. I mean, those guys are going to be ballers, and the Jets know it. And I think Sam Darnold's their problem. If you have a chance to get a guy who can instantly transform your team, you do that. Look at the Bengals. Even though it doesn't reflect it in their standings, they are a much different team this year, and they're now they're an up and coming team versus a team that was
They only got
collapsing.
blown out. I think they only got blown out once. All the other games they were in or they were winning. So I mean, they are. If I was in Cincinnati, I would be highly encouraged
Yeah.
by what I've seen so far, and to look forward to rebuilding, getting some free agents, etc. for next year, and I think they'll be contenders
Oh, I was
for
wrong
the
on
division.
that Titans game, by the way. The Bengals actually beat the Titans in Cincinnati, so that just
Yeah,
should be noted. I just wanted to correct myself because I looked and it looks like Cincinnati's 0-3 away. The Browns are 2-2 away and 3-1 at home.
right.
And so looking at the Texans are 1-3 away, so they're not a great away team.
Yeah.
This should be one that we should have a decent shot. Hey guys, does anybody want to do? Should we do the giveaway?
Yeah, I want to do the giveaway a little bit different, Mike.
Okay.
Rather than do the pick a number type of thing, which is purely luck and
Okay.
whatnot, we're gonna take the luck out of it. We're gonna go with trivia,
Okay.
and I have a trivia question, and the first one who can post it on the board with the correct answer, and we'll know according to
All
how the
right.
chat
I
goes,
like it. I like it.
will be the winner. It'll be
Get your fingers ready to type, boys.
yeah, it's going to be Google against pure knowledge. If your pure knowledge is better and quicker than somebody typing it into Google, you got a pretty good shot. So
You win a
here we
sports card.
go.
All right, here we
All
go.
right. The question is, where did Brian Sipe go to school? What college did he play? What university did he play for? Go.
All right. If I had to pick this, and I'm not looking at anything. I'm not Googling it or anything like that. I know that it wasn't a major college. It wasn't like a Delaware. It wasn't like a Michigan, but it was like a mid-tier team. It wasn't a top tier school. It wasn't a low tier school. All right, so we got Lace says UConn, Kevin Saints, South Carolina, NC State, San Diego, Toledo. San Diego sounds right. That sounds right to me, San Diego, Dad. Who is it? I guess we could let it, because at this point somebody could probably have Googled it to find out.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Look at all the San Diegos coming up.
Yeah, people went in there and Googled it real quick.
Kid Wilson.
Kid Wilson.
San Diego.
Kid Wilson with a win. Congratulations,
There
Kid
it is.
Wilson.
On the back of the card, it clearly states that he went to San Diego State. He set some records. He was a great passer at San Diego State. So,
Yeah.
Kid Wilson, you are the man. And
Congratulations, Kid. I'm pretty sure I have Kid Wilson's information, but Kid, if just send me another email saying that you won the Brian Sipe card, and send me your address one more time so I don't have to search through my email for it. But go ahead and send me that, Kid, and we'll get the Brian Sipe card out to you.
Let me ask Kid Wilson, did you know it or did you Google it?
Yeah, that's a good question. Did you have enough time did you know it off the top of your head, or did you have to Google it? That's a good one. Is it on the back of the card, by the way, Dad?
It is on the back.
Okay,
of the card,
I was about to say, like, how did you know that one?
Yeah, well, you couldn't see it probably from what I was holding up.
No, definitely couldn't. He said he guessed.
And it wasn't something that came to everybody's mind. We had 5 or 6. He said I guessed. He guessed.
I knew it was like a mid-tier school. It wasn't like a UCLA or a big school like that. So I couldn't remember.
On here, even on the back of the card, it says what they.
He wasn't a big throwing quarterback in college either. I don't think. He wasn't lighting it up.
He set some records. It says it on the back of the card.
Okay, maybe we're wrong.
I can't read it, but he set some records there, and I think the Browns took him in the 7th round, something like that. So I mean, he wasn't a huge high pick, but he wasn't at the bottom of the barrel.
It just goes to show, if you can hit on a quarterback at any round, if you have a franchise, Brian Sipe was a franchise guy. You get a franchise guy, you win football games. But even with Brian Sipe, Retigliano, his win-loss percentage was he was batting .450.
Yeah.
So even with them, you're gonna have ups and downs. It's that hard to win in the NFL. So, all right, guys. Well, let's we're gonna get ready for the game. Getting close to noon here. So everybody, hit the like button real quick for us. Give us, before you go, I want to see some score predictions in chat. Hit us up with the score prediction right now, and I'm gonna write them down so we can talk about it.
I'm saying like 24-17, something like that.
24-17. All right, so let's go score predictions. I'm gonna create a little file for it in my drive. Not there. New file. I'm gonna type it in here for everybody. Score predictions. I'm gonna. What did you say, Dad? You said 24 to
Put
what?
it on. Yeah, 24-17.
24-17 Browns. I'm gonna say. I think I was gonna say. I think I said 21-14 Browns, all touchdowns. Like 21.
Yeah, field goals are going to be at a premium.
Browns.
There may be a lot of them, but there may be a lot of them that are no good. You know, see that ball move from one side of the field goal post to the other and just miss because of the wind,
Yeah.
or come up drastically short because the wind knocked it down, or you try a 55-yarder because you got a tremendous wind going with you. So I mean, it's going to be an interesting game because that wind is not going to change. I mean, it's predicted to blow hard the entire game.
Yep. All right, guys. Get in here and make sure I have everybody's number, starting with Saint Kevin, all the way down to John. These guys, let me put them in my little sheet here. Got everybody's information in there. All right, awesome, guys. Appreciate it, guys. Give out some love to our sponsors, our guys on Patreon. So William Ali of the realtor, William Ali. If you guys are in the market for real estate, buying, selling, whatever, give William Ali a call. His phone number comes up there every once in a while on the list there from Tim Ali Realty. His name is William, though. Give William a call and tell him, he's a big supporter of the show and of the channel, so we got to give him some love. Also, Schlegel Law Firm. Look up Schlegel Law Firm for any of your legal needs, whether it is wills and estates, evictions, anything like that. That's what his specialty is. He is based in the Columbus, Ohio area. Also, big fan of the show. Happens to be in chat quite often. So, Schlegel Law Firm. All of our merch is up on browniepostgame.com/merch, or just go to browniepostgame.com. You can navigate over to merch. You can see the cool stuff that we have there. And then finally, just the Patreon stuff. So Patreon is one way that you guys can support us by donating and becoming a patron. All our Patreon guys, we do private chat. I try to we post in there, talk directly to us. Also, any of the hype videos that I do usually go to Patreon first, so you guys get the sneak previews for the hype videos. And then always you got Sabo Apparel and you have Homage who are doing the t-shirts. We're gonna do the Sabo Apparel and the Homage on the back nine today, so on the post game show. And finally, the last thing, you'll notice the new InClan GG logo that's popping up in there. That is my gaming brand. So a new kind of separating a little bit, because I noticed that there's some gamers that follow us, right? And then there's some people who just could care less about gamers. They only come here for Browns. So I'm separating the brands a little bit. InClan GG, you can find us on Twitch. You can find us on YouTube. If you're into Warzone, I do put all my Call of Duty Warzone highlights up there on InClan GG. Give us a subscription over there and check out some of those videos. I put a lot of effort into those as well. So, all right, Dad. A big week, must win. Let's go get set up and get rocking. And everybody, we will see you in the post-game show. Go Browns.
Okay, go Brownies. Go Brownies.